All right. Good morning. Happy Monday, folks. Today, let's take a look at Llama 2, the new LLM that Meta released about a week ago. But specifically, let's take a look at LLAMA2.c, which is something that we all should be able to run locally. Right now, I'm training it on one 3090, and it's taken up about 21 gigabytes of VRAM. It's been going for about 12 hours. I'll probably stop it. 18 hours seems to be the traditional amount of time people train these smaller models for. So I'll let it run for 18 hours, and we'll see how it does. The code and install is pretty simple, but there are some modifications you have to make if you want to use your own data set like I am doing so here. So let's get to it. Okay, so Llama 2C, that's by Andres Karpathy. It is a nano GPT model that has been reworked to mimic or recreate the Llama 2 LLM that was specified in the Llama 2 paper by Meta AI. The GitHub repo gives you everything you need to train the model on the Tiny Stories dataset. Unfortunately, the Tiny Stories dataset does not have any input, so running this trained on the Tiny Stories dataset will only output a story. That's all you'll get. You'll have no options for input, you'll have no options for anything else, just seeing the story. So I am training it on a separate data set, the auto COT data set, which is not a great data set, but does have input. So perhaps we'll be able to talk with this Llama 2C once it's done training. So the basic install is pretty simple. You got a repo here. You just want to clone that as normal, and you have an option to download the model he trained himself on the Tiny Stories dataset, or you can train the model on your own on the Tiny Stories dataset. Either way, you are stuck with a model that only outputs a single story every run. If you don't have a C compiler, maybe you're on Windows, you're gonna wanna look up my VS Code GCC video that I have, and that may be able to help you. If you're on Linux or Mac, should be super simple and shouldn't give you any issues. Okay, so we want to run Llama 2C and have it be able to train on a custom dataset. So if you go to my GitHub, I have two files here that'll help us do that. The Alpaca COT file is for preparing the Alpaca COT dataset. You can use this with any other dataset. Simply change these four fields here or variables and you should be good to go. Set the dataset URL to the download link, not the download page, and that's about it. All of these can be whatever you want, except the dataset file name should be the actual file name that will be created when it gets downloaded. So most datasets come as a single file. The Alpha COT dataset is a single JSON file. So to be able to split this into training and testing datasets, we want to shard this into partitions. So in the same repo, in the llama2.c folder, there's a shard JSON file that shards JSON files. It should work for any JSON file. You just want to change the input file and output directory to your corresponding locations. I had the shard size as 1000. I've only done one training session and it's not complete, but I will play around with the shard size and see if smaller shards are better. I think 1000 shards gave me about 6 or 5 partitions, so pretty good set. Okay, so to get this running, the only actual edit to the code other than adding the files in this repo that I have here for you is the config file and site packages. This is my path to it, and yours should be similar, except the username should be different. And if you're not using an Anaconda environment, you shouldn't have this portion. And if you are, the environment name will be different. But other than that, this path should help you find this config file, which has a bunch of the configurations. The only one that I had to change so that it would run was the suppress errors for the torch dynamo, which was not working. This is some kind of thing to improve compiling or something like that. You don't need it. It's running fine without it, and it wouldn't run with it. So that's it. That's it for the llama2.c. Just a quick intro to the changes I made as we let this train. I think I have about 5 more hours. So once that's done training, we'll take a deeper look at this, and then we'll also take another look at llama2.c Llama 2 regular, the paper, and there's a new model by the people that came up with Stable Diffusion, called Free Willy, which is also supposed to be pretty good. Might have to check that out. The main goal here is the Free Willy has the Orca data generation method, which should help us with our logic training from way back when, having some trouble with creating a method to algorithmically validate logic, and having a huge data set generated in these new methods may help us, and having a model that we can run locally that's pretty good will also help us. So stay tuned. Appreciate you watching. Just a short quick thing here. Be easy. Peace.